Good morning, everybody. It's Professor Z teaching from his home office now. Um, got my son's painting behind me, and you can see some of my books. Um, if I scroll around, you'll see more of my books, which might scare you. That's what's going on here. So this is where I'll be doing some video lectures for you for the rest of the semester. Um, Today, I want to do an overview of the rhetorical analysis module, um, and just make sure you're comfortable with what you need to do. So, as you can see here, I have the module open, and it's in student view. So this is what it will look like for you if you're working on a laptop or a desktop computer. It might look a little different if you're on your phone. Um, so First off, the assignment is in your supplemental packet. It's the first thing in your supplemental packet. You remember this? So it's on page 2 there, and you can also find the prompt here if you click on the rhetorical analysis Dropbox. So I'm just going to pull it up here for now. And your goal here is to analyze Gladwell's argument in chapter 4. Okay, so you have to talk about what his argument is, what his claim is, what his reasons are, and what his evidence is. And then you're going to evaluate his claim. And what you're really looking at is how effectively he used ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos deals primarily with his credibility. Is he believable? Has he done a good job of convincing you that he is an expert, that he understands all the issues that he's talking about in the chapter? Logos has to do with logic. How has he tried to persuade you through the use of logic, through reasoning, through statistics? And pathos deals with emotion. How has he tried to persuade you by having you feel things as opposed to using your head, which is what logos deals with? So that's what you're tasked with doing for this paper, okay? And okay, so that's your assignment, right? So what I want to talk about a little bit is what your resources are for helping you do the assignment. Everything in your supplemental packet is also here on this page. If I click on this, you'll see a list of like everything that's in the supplemental packet along with the page number. So SP4 would mean that it's on page 4 in your supplemental packet. You don't have to use any of this. You don't have to access this stuff in the module if you don't want. You can certainly do all of it in your packet. And I just want to talk a little bit about what it is, right? So the first few things in your packet after the assignment and the grade sheet are a couple of sample student essays. So you could just see how a few students tackled a similar assignment. They were asked to do a rhetorical analysis, not of Gladwell. Each was asked to do something differently, but you could just see how they approached it, how they went about doing their introduction, their summary of the argument, and then their analysis or evaluation of ethos, logos, and pathos. So I highly recommend you spend a little time looking at those, maybe even annotating them, reading through them, and just seeing how the students did it. The next thing is on SP14, supplement page 14 is a visual organizer, and that can help you outline your essay. So you don't have to use that. It's just a tool that may help some of you. Where I just asked you kind of like, hey, what's Gladwell's claim? What are his reasons and evidence? And then I asked you to kind of go through and look for places where he used ethos, logos, or pathos. So that's just a way to help you to kind of organize your information for your essay. Page 18 has different types of evidence, and that can just be useful to help you, like if you need to like just jog your memory of like what are the types of evidence that a writer can use, right? So they can use an anecdote, so a story, right? And a story is often going to appeal to pathos because it usually makes us feel something. Statistics tend to come here to the head, right? They tend to be logos. When Gladwell cites authorities or experts, right, or researchers, that's a way of him building credibility for himself. So he's going to establish some ethos that way, but it also helps him to establish logos a lot of times because what they tell you may appeal to your head. in terms of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I understand why they're saying that. So it can have a double sort of appeal. Um, Evidence by analogy is where somebody says, "Oh, like this is similar to this other thing." So I think I had given the example in class of like the soda tax, where I might make an analogy like soda's bad, just like tobacco is bad. Therefore, since we tax tobacco, we should also tax soda. Okay, and you may disagree with that, but that's a type of analogical thinking. And the last one is hypothetical situations, which is where somebody says, imagine this scenario, and they use that as evidence to prove their claim. So you have some types of evidence, and that could just help you find stuff that Gladwell might use in the chapter, and then you can decide, is he using it for ethos, for logos, for pathos, and then evaluate how effectively the evidence is working. Okay. The star method is in here on page 20 in your packet, and that can help you to do the evaluation, right? You could ask, is star, remember, S is for sufficient, T is for typical, A is for accurate, R is for representative. Those are ways that you can test evidence, right? Like, is it sufficient? Is it enough? Is the evidence typical, or has it been cherry picked? I told you not to worry about accurate because we're not going to go looking at the sources. And then the R is representative, meaning um, is it representative of the stuff in? Is it? I'm sorry. R is relevant. Representative is like typical. Relevant means, does it relate to what he's talking about in his argument? Okay. If you need to review what ethos, logos, and pathos are for, page 26 has a little bit more information about each of those. Okay, and then there's a sample MLA paper towards the end of your packet on page 28, which just shows you how to format your paper. So it shows you how to do the heading, the title, make sure you double space it. It shows you how to do in-text citations. As always, formatting is the least of my concerns. What's most important to me is the thinking that's going on and the writing that's happening. Okay, so these are resources that you have at your disposal in your packet. And let's see what else I want to talk about. Okay, in the thread, so that's what you have at your disposal, right? And then here's what I've put in the module to help you get to this final draft, right? I know it's going to be difficult since we're not going to get to talk about chapter 4 in person, which stinks, quite honestly. I'm so what I've done to try to mimic that is I've put a discussion thread in the module. And you're not required to do this discussion thread, but you're only going to have access to it if you post to it. So the discussion thread is I've got some questions. I got 5 questions here, right? And my task is I say answer any one of them. Choose one, contribute to the discussion thread. We could kind of we could put all our heads together, see what everyone has to say about these questions, and those are going to help direct us to getting to a summary of or an outline of Gladwell's argument. Okay. And it's a discussion thread. It doesn't have to be super formal here. You can just answer one of those questions and contribute it to the thread, and then I will kind of jump in and kind of direct you guys and make some comments and give some feedback about the chapter. So that will hopefully help us to get to what is Gladwell's claim, what are his reasons, what is his evidence. And I also put so there's a Dropbox for the final draft, and then there's also something that says rhetorical analysis draft. So if you want some feedback from me before submitting your final draft, I said upload a draft here, do it by April 5th, and I will give you some feedback before your final draft is due. Okay, on I believe I said the 11th. Now, and keep in mind, as I told you, my due dates are suggested at this point, right? I know that everyone's life has been turned upside down, so you do what you can when you can. School is really, you don't have to do anything until March 30th at this point. But I have put I'm putting everything up that I can put up because I want you to get going whenever you can get going on stuff. All right. So the other thing I will do is I'm going to set up conference times. I'm going to set up times during the week when you can give me a call if you want to talk to me one-on-one. Whatever works for you to help you get this stuff done and support you, I'm going to do it. and we're going to get you to the finish line. You're all going to do well. We're going to have a growth mindset about it. We're going to treat it as a desirable difficulty, even though it may not be one, right? But it's not going to do any of us any good to pout about it and um, treat it as an excuse to give up. So I'm here to support you guys and make sure that we still we're still doing learning and that you're still making progress towards your goals. Okay, it's a tough time for everyone right now, but we're gonna get through it. And I am here to answer your questions. So make sure get in touch with me. I'm gonna send you my number. I'm gonna do Zoom conferences starting next week. You can always email me and just get in touch if you have questions. All right. Good luck.